Okay, so we start. So what we have here is chapter 15, Purushottama Yoga, Yoga of the Supreme Person. Okay, so let us pay obeisance to Sri Radha Govinda. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Nanatva Shalakaya Chakshurmitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manovishtam Sthapitam Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavscha Shri Rupam Sagarajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vittam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakana Vittamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dino Bandho Jagat Pate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Prihe Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Deshatarine Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we are doing this is Jnana Yoga. There's a full 6 chapters. The last section of Bhagavad Gita. So in the last chapter, we looked at the 3 modes of nature. In 13th chapter, he was talking about Kshetra, Kshetrajna, then Prakriti. So now he's coming more and more about the material modes of nature. So we saw the 3 gunas we have, Sattva guna, Rajas guna, and Tamas guna, right? And how in living entities could be in any of these gunas. And there is sometimes will be more in Sattva guna or in Rajas guna or Tamas guna. There's always a race for the prominence. And how? Then what are the actions? How the endeavor in Rajas guna, they'll be endeavoring more for the result oriented. So they'll be working very much, and they'll be all the time in anxiety. Whereas Sattva guna is quite satisfied, peace, and he'll be very pious and is peaceful. And Tamas guna is a mode of ignorance. And then we saw the results and how they go for the higher planets in Sattva guna, whereas in Rajas guna you will be in the activities, fruitive activities all the time entangled. Tamas guna go to the animal kingdom. And how you can purify from the modes, the Krishna talked about the devotional service. So we have to live all the time in goodness, connect everything to Krishna, and engage in direct bhakti yoga. So ultimately what Krishna always points out to the reality, saying that we need to be only devotional service we can connect to the Lord. So, and how we are every living entity, because he is born in this material world, because of the material nature of our body, and we get influenced by the material world, Prakriti. So now he is going to explain more in this, how we have to get detached from this material world. For that, he uses a different example of a inverted banyan tree, Urdhva Moola. Okay, now gives a different thing. Then he talks about process of transmigration again, and then how he is a maintainer, and hence we need to worship the Lord, and summary of Vedanta Sutra. So this is what we are going to see in this particular chapter. Okay, so Vedescha Sarvairaham Eva Veda Te Guya Tamam Shastra. So Vedescha, so we are the Vedas. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Urdhva Moolam Adav Sakam Asvatam Prahur Abhyayam Chandamsi Yasya Parnani Yastam Vedascha Vedavet. So what does he say? So there is an imperishable banyan tree that has roots going upwards and its branches are down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns, and one who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. So what is he talking about now? About Urdhva. So there's a banyan tree which is upside down with its roots up and its branches are all going down. And here he compares the leaves of the tree to be Vedic hymns, and the branches are the which is the branches are the all the four economics and the sense objects and all that. It's like a reflection. So there's a desire there. From there, there's a reflection of the banyan tree. So that is our material world. So this is what Krishna is referring to. Okay. And why does he say? Is actually a reflection. It's not an actual thing, but it indicates a reality. See, when you see in the near the river, now you will see many times the trees reflected in the water. So when you see the reflection in the water, then you can immediately understand there is a tree above it. Otherwise, there cannot be a reflection, isn't it? Same way, when you see your reflection in the mirror, the reflection of your image, it can be seen only if you are standing in front of it, isn't it? So the reflection could, it indicates there's something which is real on the other side. Same here, when he says there's a banyan tree, the reflected is the seeing this banyan tree, which is the material world, which is comparing it to, and it is actually by seeing this world, this variety in the world, and what is thing in this material world, you can think that it's a reflection of the spiritual world. Okay, that's what Krishna is denoting. So it's like a perverted thing. Whatever is here, it's not true. Everything is only a reflection. So everything which is real is in the spiritual world. So this is not, but it's not factual. Any relationship which you have here, as a friendship or the love with your parents or boy and a girl, all that is just a perverted relationship. It's a not actual thing. On everything which is real, you can see it only in the spiritual world. So that's what it is indicating. So the branches of this tree extend downwards and upwards, and they are nourished by the modes of the material nature. So this is the reflection which I'm trying to tell you. And the twigs are the objects of senses, and the tree has roots going down also and up also. And these are bound to the fruitive actions of human society. So this is actually, this is the tree thing should be there, but we are seeing it upside down. Okay, so here it is, why he says that is because this material world is temporary, right? And it's not the real. And a real place, a real home is to be in the spiritual world. And we have come from there. That's what he's been telling us right from the even 7 chapters and the previous chapters. He says we are the confidential matters which he talked about, that we are part and parcel of him. And we were actually in the spiritual world, but we had the desire to lord over the material nature. So we have come down here because of our propensity to lord over the material world. Because of our desire, we have been put into this material world. But our real home is the spiritual world. So here, whatever we try, whatever success we have in this material world, it won't be real at all because it is all temporary. We are actually like, it's like a person who has gone to an hotel room, right? And he is trying to paint it. We want to put the new curtains there and paint the walls. And he's trying to make it as cozy as possible. But actually, he's in the hotel room. So that is not his permanent house, right? So, and whatever he's doing is all futile. Same way, that's the situation with us. We are trying to make a permanent place in this material world, which is not our place. So this is what he's saying. It's just a reflection of the spiritual world, and it's not the border of the desire. So the real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it ends, where it begins, and where its foundation is. So if you try to see, where the beginning is of this world, it is so entangled in this nature, you cannot find it. That's what here Krishna says. No one can understand where it ends or where it begins or where its foundation is. But if you want to come out of it, then what you have to do? But Krishna says, but with determination, one must cut down this tree with a weapon of detachment. So doing, one must seek that place from which, having once gone, one never returns. And there you have to surrender to that Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom everything has begun and in whom everything is abiding since time immemorial. So this is what we have to do. We have to surrender to the Lord, and by the detachment, we can cut down this tree. Then only we can cut down the shackles, the bondage which is there with binding us to this material world. If you want to come out of it, we have to only by weapon of detachment, and that's how we can do, by surrendering to the Lord. And the Lord is the one who is, or from where everything has begun, and He is the one who is controlling everything. So this is what we are supposed to do, to surrender to the Lord. And we have to go back to the place, to the spiritual world. So this is what he is saying. Cut down the Ashanga Shastram Dartena. Cut down the strongly rooted tree with the weapon of detachment. And it's a reflection of the desire. Because of a desire, we have come to this world. Okay? Urdhva Mula. All the fruits are Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, brings us sense objects and Vedic names. So it's just a different picture we have got here. So, na tad bhashyate suryo, na shashanka na pavaka, yad gatva na nivattante, tad dhamma parama mama. So, he now again is describing his place, because he said, no, you by detachment, you go to that place from where you don't have to come back. That is the spiritual world. So he says that the abode of mind is not illumined by the sun or moon, nor by electricity. One who reaches it never returns to this material world. So see, repeatedly he's describing the world from where you don't have to come back. So that is the where we have to go back. That is our mukti, get to mukti. And that place is not there. You don't need electricity, nor the sun, nor the moon. Just by the effulgence of the Lord, by his own thing, the whole thing is illuminated. You don't need an extra sun or electricity to lighten it up. It is by the effulgence of the Lord itself, the whole spiritual world is illuminated. Okay, that is what here Krishna said, describes about his spiritual world, and is trying to attract you all to go back to him. So this is what Krishna's attempt is. And the material world is all full of darkness. For that you need the sun, otherwise you don't get this light here. Okay, that's a comparison. Then he continues to say, Mamai Vamsha Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, Manaha Sastan Indrani, Prakriti Stani Karshati. So the living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental part. See, here he came, says, Mamai Vamsha. So we are the part and parcel of it. Okay, but due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the 6 senses, which include the mind. Because of our conditioned being in this material world, we are struggling. And including, the 5 senses plus the mind is the 6 senses. So we are part and parcel of him. That he explicitly tells us our relationship to the Lord. But what we have done is we have forgotten that relationship by coming into this material world. So we have lost that connection. Okay. So now our real goal in life is to revoke that connection and go back to him. Go back through devotional service. So shariram yad avapnoti yad chapi utram shivaraha gritvaitani samyati vayur gandhan ivashaya. So the living entity in the material world carries the aroma carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another as the air carries aromas. Okay. So now he's explaining the process of transmigration. So what are we doing coming into this material world? Because of our desires and things, we keep going from one body to the another body, carrying our desires. And so we are in this cycle of birth and death. And how we are going? It carries his different conceptions, life from wood, as the air carries aromas. See, when air now, when it passes through a nice garden of roses, so when the wind carries that air, when it comes towards us, it will be full of smelling. We can make out, it has passed, the wind is coming from the place where there's a beautiful garden and the roses are there. So like that, we are carrying our desires and our shuttle body from one body to another body. So that's how we are having that mentality. So he says the living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, tongue, nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects. So this is how we are defining our, making our destiny, what our body in the next body to be. This is how we are designing it, because of the desires which you have in this particular body, in this particular birth. When the body dies, diminishes, it goes with that thing. So that particular, whatever the desire, whatever we wanted to desire to enjoy a particular senses, enjoyment. For that kind of thing, you will get your eyes, ears, nose, tongue, Swasanam and all that. So all that is grouped around the mind. So this is the mentality, Adhishtaya Manas. And we get all this accordingly. If you wanted to be like a dog or anything, you will get the mentality of the dog. If you want to become a demigod, you will get that, depending on what you're desiring and how we are endeavoring and what we deserve, we get it. So that's how the process of migration takes place. And mentality, what mentality we have, it depends on our desires. Okay. So then utramantam stitam vapi gunjanam va gunanitam vimuddha nano pashyanti nana shakshusha. Nana shakshusha means we should have trained in the knowledge. So what he says, the foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of nature. So, but one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this. So what does he say? That the foolish people, they don't understand this the process of transmigration. They just want to be on the bodily platform, just enjoy, live as per the sense enjoyment, sense gratification, and they will live with all the 4 kinds of miseries, like they'll have the birth, old age, and diseases and things. They don't want to go beyond that level of thinking or feeling or willing, and they will just don't want to, they will only enjoy with this and go to take another body as per that. Then they live only in that platform. They don't want to go beyond that. So that is, they don't understand this process of transmigration. But if you are, and how we can get to know this knowledge, we should be trained. Like here, there's an example. So this person has got, his car has broken down and he is breaking his head trying to understand what the problem is there in this car. He's not able to, he's just breaking it. So what he has to do, he has to go to a mechanic. But if a mechanic opens and sees it, he can immediately find out where the problem is and he can rectify it, because he's been trained in that and he has the knowledge in it. Same here, we should get the knowledge. Now, once we understand this process of transmigration, this knowledge, when we look through that, when we are trained in that knowledge, we can understand why we are in this world and why we are suffering in this world and what our real goal is in this. So this is the knowledge we need to get. So otherwise we are in the spell of Maya, isn't it? So the endeavoring transcendentalist who is situated in self-realization can see all this clearly. But those who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try to do it. So what he says here, unless we take to the spiritual path, self-realization path, we will never be able to see what is happening. So here the transcendentalists are the pure devotees, because they are in the self-realization, they can understand what is happening and why all this very clearly. But if we are not in that, we cannot understand what is going to happen, and we are caught into this binded by this illusion energy, that is with the Maya. So we have to purify, we have to be purified by the bodily identification, because we are thinking we are the body and not the soul. And we don't, here clearly Krishna says we are a fragmented part of him, and we are struggling here because of a entangled in this material world. So we need to get out of it. So we need to come out of this bodily identification. For that, we need to take up to devotional service. So he says, come out of that identification. How do we do that? Here it continues, Gam avishya cha bhutani dharyayam aham ejasa kushnami chausadihi sarvaha soma bhutva rasatma. That is, I enter into each planet, and by my energy, they stay in orbit. I become the moon, and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables. So what he is telling here is that he is maintaining the entire material world. Not only material world, even the spiritual. He is the one who is maintaining the whole thing. Because he is there as an energy, he goes into all the planets. No? That's why they are moving in the particular orbit. All the planets are moving in there because of that energy he has entered. Yeah, because of that, they stay in that orbit. And because the moon, the gravity is very important. It keeps our planets orbiting the sun, and the ropes are galaxies together and keeps them all together, right? And he is the one who gives, because the vegetables and all that, they require the moonlight. So that gives. So he is the maintainer. So if he is saying that because we should understand that Krishna is the one who is maintaining. So if we appreciate that there's a Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is doing all that, because we have taken everything for granted. We don't look into that, but he is the one who is maintaining everything. And whatever we have, whatever in the things we are needed for our growth, for our body, and everything is being maintained by the Lord. So, and I am the fire of digestion in every living body. I am the air of life, outgoing and incoming, by which I digest the 4 kinds of foodstuff. What is the 4 kinds of foodstuff? Can anyone tell? So there are some foodstuffs which we drink, swallow. Some we are chew it and eat it, isn't it? And some we lick it, and some we digest it. So there are 4 kinds of foodstuff, and all that is the fire of indigestion. Okay, that's when it is told even in Ayurveda. No, there's a fire in the. They do confirm that. So there's a fire which is digesting all the food. All we know is what we do is we just put the food into our mouth, and what is happening in the stomach we don't know. But that is the digestion. He says, I am the fire of digestion in every living entity. Animals and things, all of them is there. And also in the prana, the air of life. So he says, I am in that. So fire of indigestion and things. So he is maintaining us. Then he is also taking care of not only the world, he is also maintaining our body. And how he is maintaining our mind also. So here in this, Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto matha smrita jnanam apohanam cha vedaischa sarvair aham eva vedyo vedanta krit vedai vid eva cha. I am seated in everyone's heart as Paramatma, and from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. You think that we are the ones doing all that. So Many a time, no, there are times when we forget something, sometimes we won't remember and all that. So Krishna says he is the one who is there in our heart, doing all that remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness all come from him. That's how we are maintaining our mind. So our mind is maintained by him, our body is maintained by him, and the whole world is maintained by him. And everything is given in this Vedas, because by all the Vedas I am to be known. It is given in the Vedas. The Vedas was given by him only, no, by him to Brahma, and Brahma gave it to Narada, and that's how it has come down by the Sattvic succession. So he is the compiler of the Vedanta and he is the knower of the Vedas. So Veda is Charva, Aham Eva Vedya. So he is there in everything. And it is, you can understand through the Vedas. So the knowledge is there. So he is giving us the buddhi. So what all the thing? So now he concludes there are two classes of being. The fallible one, that is we are the living entities in this material world. And in the spiritual world, there are infallible things, spiritual beings. But besides these two, there is the greatest living personality, the Lord himself, okay, who has entered into these worlds and is maintaining them. So he is the maintainer of everything, okay, and he is the Supreme Lord. He is the origin, cause of all causes, Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this is known Yasmat sharam atito aham aksharad apishottamaha atosmi loke vede cha pratihe purushottama. Because I am transcendental, beyond both the fallible and the infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as the Supreme Person. So he is beyond everything. He is the Purushottama. So now he is establishing his identity. He is the Purushottama, he is there in everything. Okay. And this is one pastime in Krishna book, you can see there. And it comes as a Krata. There, all the lords and everyone accept him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay. So including Brahma, Shiva, Lord Shiva, everyone accepts the same unique position of Purushottama. And the Brahma and all, when they want to talk to him, they will always meditate. They're always meditating on the Supreme Lord, even including Shiva. Okay, that is also said in Vishnu Sahasranama also. Shiva says to Parvati, how they meditating on the Lord Vishnu. So we know the Krishna, they know Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So what we have to do? Yoham evam asamuddo jnati purushottamam sa sarva vid bhajati mam sarva bhavena bharata. Whoever knows me as a Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting is to be understood as the knower of everything, and he therefore engages himself in full devotion or service, O son of Bharata. So we should not doubt. If you doubt everything, then there's no hope for you, okay? So you cannot take one thing from the Bhagavad Gita and leave out other things. If you take anything from it, you should take it in total. So here Krishna clearly says, once you understand that he is the Supreme Lord, he is the cause of everything, without doubt, without samshaya, then you engage yourself in the full devotional service. Only through that we will be able to connect to him and detach from this material world. So Bhakti Yoga is again stresses. So throughout he is telling Bhakti Yoga, and now he is giving certain more clarifications how we get entangled and what is this material nature of this material world is just a reflection of the spiritual world. There's nothing real here. So we need to know what is the reality and what is our real position, and how we should understand the Supreme Lord's position also, that he is the cause of everything, he is maintaining the whole thing. And not only that, is maintaining our body also as a fire of digestion and things, and also is the mind gives us the remembrance. And the whole thing is given in the in Vedic scriptures. This is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures. O sinless one, and it is disclosed now by me, whoever understands this will become wise and his endeavors will know perfection. So if it is so much there, then why it's not so clear? Because in Vedic scriptures, no, the most part of it is all on karma kanda. Then comes the Jnana Kanda and then Upasana Kanda and things. So people, what happens when they read the Karma Kanda, no, there it is given how to do yajnas and how to please rich demigod. If you pray to sun god, you'll get help. If you pray this. So many things, explanations is going on and on. They get caught into that. They miss out the real part. The real part is the confidential part. The most part is that is to break up from this material world, that we don't listen. We only get carried away by the karma kanda part of it. So that's what happens with most of the people. Because of that, they miss out the basic essence of this Vedic scriptures. So here Krishna is pointing it out that this is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures, and it is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands this will become wise and his endeavors will know perfection. So he will not get carried away by those karma kanda things, jnana kanda. He will directly go into the bhakti yoga, that is devotional service. Do everything for the Lord, whether he's chanting or associating with the devotees or hearing the Krishna Katha or cooking for him. And in every endeavor, in everything, if you look in and you think that the Lord is there through the creations, if you understand that he is the water, he is the one, and the sunlight is there with him and all that, then you will get the perfect. So this is the essence, the whole thing, which is in this particular chapter. And every time he is taking us to the reality. So through the inverted binary example, he is explaining how this material world is just a reflection of the spiritual world, and there's nothing real here, and we are entangled. So how to come out of it? Only by devotional service. Only if you understand that, we can. And then he talks about the process of transmigration, how we are actually part and parcel of him, but because we have forgotten our connection, we are still entangled in this cycle of birth and death. Okay, and we are depending upon our desires and things, that kind of mentality, that kind of body we get in the next birth. And then he says only foolish people don't understand that. They think they don't understand this process of transmigration. If they know that, they get that knowledge, then they have to be trained in that. So they have to take to the process of bhakti. Then he is telling that he is the maintainer of our body, mind and soul. Okay. So that is the reason we need to, he is the Purushottama. And everything is given in this Vedas and is the Vedas. So Krishna maintains our spirituality by offering ways and means to achieve self-realization, and is giving and to escape this dangerous cycle of repeated birth and death and to get liberation. So here in this chapter, he is establishing his position of the Lord as Purushottama, and it is evident in the Vedas too. So material world is a reflection. We need to connect to God, and this is a confidential part of Vedas, and Lord is the supreme way. So this is our takeaway message to home. So we need to cultivate transcendental desire to reach Goloka. Vedas is always remember Supreme Lord as the worshipable one. Then our life would be perfect, right? So I just wanted to mention this level 2 Bhagavad Gita we have, which once you complete your quiz, you will, I think you will get the link to join this level 2, and that's again a free course. And there what you do is you go through this Bhagavad Gita in more detail. Now I'm just giving you as a nutshell, essence. This is what is there, this is what is there, this is what we are. I'm just going chapter wise in every day in this 18 days. This will be about it might be 2 to 3 months, and they will go through each chapter in more detail. And if time permits, they might cover these other books also, Nectar of Instruction, Ishopnis. And this will be taken up by our senior devotees, and it will be for twice a week for 1.5 hours. Of course, there will be quiz and assignments. And if you don't want to do the assignments and all that, that's no problem. But still, as an attendee, you can attend also. Okay. At least go through that, because then, it's not enough just to do this. You will only got at a trial, like, you have a trailer you got now, just a thing. Then if you want to know a little bit more, you have to spend some more time into each chapters and listen to our thing. This level 2 course is a very nice thing. You can join there. So this is what it's all about. Let me close this session. Vancha kalpatarabhyascha kripa sindhu evacha patitam nam pavanebhyo vaishnavyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. I hope you all have started to chanting, and I will stop this.